Hello, everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of Bloody Good Horror. My name's Eric, and I'll be your host for this evening, where we will be reviewing Roald Dahl's The Witches, not to be confused with just The Witches or The Witch, or another delightful film, John, Little Witches, which I'm
What
a big
about
fan of.
Roald Dahl's The Witches, as opposed to Raold Dahl?
Okay, John, you're going to act like I'm the only person who doesn't know how to say that. That's fine. Joining me tonight, first up, John can go last tonight. From Chicago, Illinois, please welcome Joe.
Oh, hey, it's my time to shine because John has fucked everybody over again. Huh?
He broke his keyboard. We're going to talk about why later. Next up on the show, from Hotlanta, Georgia, please welcome Cece.
Hello.
From Indiana, please welcome Casey.
Hi.
And finally, from the fields of Arendelle, please welcome John Schnorrs to the show.
Jesus Christ.
Hey, Eric.
I
got a hat on, guys.
Yeah, I don't want to get too much into our BGH Zoom-tacular festivities because we'll save it for later, but I do just want to shout out your hilariously nondescript costume and just indignant rage that no one could figure out what it was, even after you were just pointing at things and going, but I have a belt on.
No, I get it. It's fair criticism. It's been kind of processed,
Okay.
and I'm making some adjustments for
I like it
a
better.
big day.
I like it better when you get upset, if I'm being honest.
No, I
we
don't
are.
have the energy right now, Eric, if I'm being honest. So.
That I feel you on, bro. Yeah, we're here tonight to talk about that guy's The Witches. Since John says I can't say it, it is a new movie done by Roland Emmerich, which made me right. Isn't that who did it? No, who did it?
You
I'm sorry.
are 100% just fucking with me because
I have never felt closer to you, Eric.
it's Robert
Who did
Zemeckis.
it?
Which
Zemeckis, whatever.
I'm telling you,
Okay.
even though I assume you're
Here's
kidding.
my thing about Robert Zemeckis. Isn't he like 100?
No, he's 68.
So yes.
I guess that qualifies. as 100. I don't know. That's like, is that older or younger than your parents?
Yeah.
Slightly
Younger.
older by like a couple of years maybe.
Oh, really? It's
Yeah.
younger than mine.
Yeah.
But yeah, fuck that guy that did Back to the Future.
Yeah. fuck
Yeah,
him.
really, I was like all set to kind of run down Robert Zemeckis, and I was spending some time on his IMDb. We'll talk about it. We'll get into it later, I think.
Oof.
But
Got me excited.
pretty good.
Joe, before we talk about Robert Zemeckis' IMDb, please tell us what we are drinking tonight.
Beer guts.
The Witches, a 2020 remake, right? We'll call it a remake of the youngsters classic. I don't remember when the original came out, but it's the story of Octavia Spencer and a young child going into a hotel and being terrorized by Anne Hathaway.
And her chicken feet.
And
Not wrong.
her chicken feet, just chasing him around the hotel, telling him about her acting career. It's a whole thing. But the young boy in this, just his name is Hero Boy. If any of you guys looked up on the IMDb bizzles. So in honor of him, I picked a beer from a brewery I've enjoyed many a times. Revolution Brewing's own Sly Hero. Which, we can say the little mouse people are very sly in this movie, stashing trinkets and dumping potions and taking dumps all over the hotel, doing what they do. So Sly Hero is Revolution does a whole series of hero beers that they put out, and a lot of them are limited releases. Sly Hero was the same, but I think they've put it out a couple times. I could be making that up. It's IPA. Very straightforward. A ton of hops in there. You get that bitterness. Smells like a beautiful dank sack, John. Comes in at
What the hell?
yeah.
Who wants to smell a dank sack?
I'm fun. No,
Nah,
Joe, I know what
easy,
you're
just
talking
let
about.
it go.
Not that sack.
We're gonna let this one. We're gonna let this one go.
The same kind of sack that, say, Joe partook in the
Right.
middle of the Halloween
Yeah.
party.
Well,
Definitely.
I don't know that you would want to smell that right now either.
Yeah. Comes in at 7% alcohol, so it's up there, and it'll get you where you're going. Revolution, I've talked about them before. Big fan of everything they do. Their hero series specifically are always great. You really can't go wrong. So definitely recommend them if you can get them in your neck of the woods. I believe before John abandoned ship on the fine city of New York. They just started distributing there. So, they're getting there.
No, it was there probably like beginning of 2019, but it was like only the big stuff, like the
Anti-hero, I think was
Yeah,
and yeah, that's
in like
that's there.
sixes usually, or you could find them in the like the pounders.
Tall
Actually.
boys.
Yeah. So,
I've partaken in many of those on the train home. So revbrew.com is their website, and big thumbs up on everything they do.
John, can you say pounders again, please?
pounders,
Nice.
pound it.
Yep,
Mhm.
love it. All right, guys, let's take a quick break so that we can review The Witches.
This is it, Senator. Your big break in TV. But the prime time. Main feature.
Yes, John, you've sufficiently shamed me into not using the entire title anymore. I hope you feel good about yourself.
Oh, well, it's not. It is listed as The Witches now.
So on HBO Max, it says
author's name?
Raold Dahl's The
Yeah.
Witches.
Roald Dahl.
Oh my God. Yeah.
How would you say that, John? You say it, and then I'll
Well, I say
it.
rolled.
Raold.
Like,
But there's like an
Roald
A and an
Dahl.
O in there. Like, what am I supposed to do with that?
yeah, no. Look,
That's not a normal. That's not a normal succession of vowels, is what I'm saying.
It's a weird name. It's like we can all agree it's
Raold
weird.
Dahl, right?
Dahl, you got that one.
Yeah.
Spot on.
Let's turn it back to you, John. I'm seeing a little dirt shadow over there. How long have you been growing that beard out?
This is like a good 7 days, I would guess, at this point.
Really?
Well, I was in no condition to be shaving over the weekend.
Well,
like,
okay. I'll accept that answer. No
you know,
condition.
Saturday I didn't really need to, and then Sunday I was like non-functional, and then Monday I was like partially non-functional.
It was
and things.
deeply exciting to me to have the rest of the patrons be able to witness Drunk John, because most people have
Yeah.
never seen it. We talk about it all
Well,
the time.
We'll get in there, but it was not intentional. Like I did not intend to go to that place.
Got
and-
away from you.
Oh, boy, it did got away.
I'll be honest, John, I didn't catch it.
Well, Joe, I didn't notice how messed up you were. That's hilarious.
Well, I
was
did
like,
because
yeah, Joe's having
I was sober, as I assume Cece was, so we all
Yes,
noticed.
Unfortunately.
All right, John. If you still have a few brain cells left, please bring us the word of the day.
Eric, today's word is maitre d, or maitre d. I learned this while researching. It's actually short. When you call someone a maitre d, it's short for maitre d'hotel. I don't know. I'm not great on the French pronunciation, but M-A-I-T-R-E-D.
No, I'd imagine that's spot on, John.
Yeah, I'm sure the French folks are loving it.
Raold.
The now I'm not going to know how to say it. The person in a restaurant who oversees the wait persons and busboys and who typically handles the reservations. Also, and somewhat more relevant for this film, the manager of a hotel. And it actually literally translates, according to Google here, as a master of the house.
Master of the house.
It's what I have my family call
Thanks,
me,
Joe.
actually.
All right. Thank you for that, John. Why don't you tell us about The Witches?
Yes, The Witches, a novel by Roald Dahl.
Sure.
It sounds worse the way you say it, I think.
Yeah, all right. Well,
Raold
look,
Dahl.
yeah.
Like, I'm just,
Um,
I don't know.
It's I mean, I probably should have looked this up. I want to guess the book's from like the 40s. I
Okay.
actually.
Well, I
maybe the
guess,
50s.
like, we all have Google. I'll just Google it.
All right, you Google the book. I mean, but I would put it in it's in the canon of Dahl books, right? It's like top 5 with like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, BFG. It's definitely one of the big ones. And as Joe mentioned, it was done as a film. I want to say the original film was 92. Again, something that could have been looked up.
Nine,
No, John,
90,
you're knocking this out of the park. You're doing great.
1990
90
was the
film.
original. So
1983.
yeah, I mean,
1983 was the publishing date of the book. So you are 40 years
83?
off.
get out of here.
40
I actually do believe you.
I'm
gonna
on
look this up later.
Wikipedia. you, John.
All right.
Oh, you
Okay.
can look it up in the Wikipedia.
In any event, so this one, as we were discussing a bit at the top, is
I like
Robert
that you.
Zemeckis.
I like that you hazard a guess, and you almost could not have been more off.
No, well, all right, whatever. We don't need to get into it. I've read a bit about Dahl, and for whatever reason, I always associate his books with
I
the
think we
40s,
do, John. I
like
think
the
we do need to get
post-war
into this.
period is.
I was gonna say, I feel like it seems like the book is set in that time, so
Yeah.
maybe it's just kind of a timeless type of environment.
There. Thank you, Cece.
Look at Cece going to bat for John.
I'm
Uh,
so
generous
cute.
tonight.
Right.
I don't like it. I
All
don't
right.
like it at all.
I mean, the big thing here. So the original film had notable people in it. So Angelica Houston played the Grand High Witch, but like Rowan Atkinson was in it. But like
Yeah,
otherwise,
Mr.
it's not-
Bean.
There were visible actors in there.
No, notable. Like it, but like this is definitely like a more star-studded cast, right? So it starts with what the hell's her name? She's like not at the top of the Wikipedia, but
Octavia Spencer.
no, well, I was going to say Anne Hathaway
Anne
as the Grand High Witch. I
Hathaway.
mean, that's kind of the centerpiece performance for this. But yeah, Octavia Spencer, Stanley Tucci plays the Mater D, which is not so critical. We also have Chris Rock here doing the voiceover.
Dude, wait,
which-
let me correct you. Chris Rock doing an impression of someone else doing an impression of Chris Rock.
Yeah.
He
yeah.
is
Leslie
the
and I had
most
this conversation multiple times.
the most Chris Rockiest you could ever be.
Well, but someone mentioned it's basically the that show that he had that sitcom that he voiced over. What it was called, like
Everybody.
Everybody.
Yeah, it's
hates
fine.
it.
I'm
Yeah.
just saying, like, there was no character work being done here. It was just Chris Ass Rock.
yeah, they did have.
Rock.
He was definitely at maximum rock. Which is funny. We
Sounds
should
hot.
talk about, like, I'm watching the new season of Fargo, and he's like playing a
Oh
dramatic
my
role. It's
God, it's so good.
yeah, it's really really good. But yeah, so the big change though is, so not only did they get some pretty big names, but they also moved the film from the UK, where it was set originally, in, as Cece pointed out, something like post-war Great Britain, to now it's set in I believe Alabama, or maybe it starts.
It's Alabama.
It's Alabama, and does it migrate to Louisiana? In any event,
No, the hotel's called something Louisiana, but it's in the Gulf of Mexico. They're still in Alabama.
yeah, and so Octavia Spencer played. The story, whatever. We don't need to like belabor it too much, but like basically, the main boy, he loses his parents. He has to go live with his grandmom. The grandma. So in the book, the grandmom is kind of sick, and so they have to go live by the seaside, and that's why they go to this hotel. Here, it's just like she's taking him on a vacation. She tells him, or like they tee up the fact, or she tees up the fact that there's witches in the world and that he needs to be careful. She's portrayed as something of like I'm not a witch herself, but like she's like
A healer.
yeah,
Yeah.
a healer. Yeah, she like kind of has learned the old ways from her mom, and it's been passed on, kind of thing. And so they tee up that there's witches. They get to this hotel, and it turns out like the Grand Witch Convention is happening at this hotel.
What
the premise of
what a pickle they find themselves in, John.
yeah. Well, the premise
What
of
are
the
the
witches is that
odds?
witches hate children, and they also explain that there's like all these like weird physical things that help you identify witches. But yeah, I mean that's sort of the tee up
That that in this movie they make barely any effort to cover up.
the,
They all look like Heath Ledger as the Joker.
Yeah.
it's a little more noticeable for sure.
All right, let's do it. Cece, what'd you think?
I mean, it was fine. It was cute. I felt like it was definitely more of an homage to the original source material and movie. And I know that I'm super biased because I grew up loving the movie, and I, still love the movie. But I feel like the things they decided to like focus on for me, the original movie does such a good job with special effects or practical effects, and now to have everything CGI'd just kind of takes away from that, especially because I don't know, when you see them as witches, like their hands and feet are cool, but then the whole smile situation is just like, it just seemed like a weird choice. And I don't know, like the whole, like, I know we talked about it or someone brought it up in the email chain, but the snakes were really poorly done. So it's like they didn't want to put too much money into it. I don't know, but overall it was fine. I mean, I enjoyed it, but
Yeah.
it was just that.
Jojo.
Yeah, I don't disagree with anything Cece said, although I think I'm a little more positive on this. I think, and I forget what my comments were on the original when we did the episode, so I could have been like gushing over it. But like, I think looking back, obviously the original movie feels very dated when you're watching it. Like it feels almost Canadian in a way. Like you know when you go to
What the
Canada
fuck
and
does
like
that
they're
mean?
just getting like no jacket required from Phil Collins now. Like it just
Like, what?
like it
Just feels
yeah
Canadian.
like a
So
little bit
I didn't-
behind.
Jim Henson was a producer on the original,
Mhm.
which I
Yeah.
think plays into the way that
Oh, yeah,
like
for
See,
sure.
like I
Okay.
get it, but my feeling was like it holds up when we watch it.
Yeah.
I still think it holds up.
I was
But I
kinda
mean, I get that
surprised.
it's dated, but
Yeah, I felt like with this one I could watch this in 20 years and not feel as much like, oh, I'm watching a movie from 20 years ago, because they said it in I forget what year, John, you may have said, but like it's
so
a
like
period.
early 70s.
Yeah.
I thought it was 68.
Oh, that
Yeah.
would make sense, yeah.
But to Cece's point, like the CGI was very wonky. Like there's some scenes where it looks fine, but then like specifically the snake really stuck out as me as like, this looks like it's not even done.
Yeah.
There's a lot of scenes that look like they were made specifically for 3D, which I assume when this, was first being done, it probably was going to have a theatrical release, and that was intentional. That being said, I liked the pacing a little more of this one. Usually I'm not a huge fan of Anne Hathaway, but in this, I didn't mind her as much, although her accent was just ridiculous, which I've got to assume was like a choice.
Well, I wonder if some of the named witches in the original, I don't know, like I wonder if that witch, I assumed that witch had an ethnicity that they were following in the book.
This one felt like they were bouncing around. Like at one
So-
point, I thought
Well,
she was
I mean, I'm
Scottish,
saying she's
and,
all over
like,
the place, but it seemed like she was supposed to be Russian. It was most of it was like a Natasha-esque,
So,
like
yeah,
Bullwinkle
in
kind
the
of sound.
book, the witches all do have their own like areas where they live and
Right,
operate.
because that's like
But yeah,
It-
that is not
This-
that does not come through as much.
this whole movie
as
felt
Blink.
to me like a Shining miniseries kind of situation. No, I don't mean that in a bad way, but I just mean in the way of like that
It's not-
last
it's not usually a compliment.
that last adaptation wasn't faithful, so we're gonna do fucking everything that was in the book. Like
Yeah.
that's kind of what it feels like to me.
Which
So
is
that-
interesting because that's what I kept thinking, like as we were watching this, like why did they take out certain parts from the original movie? But then talking to
Yeah.
John, like it stays truer to the book, which I mean makes more sense to me. So I want to say I was more positive on this than I was negative. I really liked Octavia Spencer, like I think she's great and everything. So and I don't know, the grandmother from the original one like creeps me out. Like I don't like looking at old people that look like they're about to die, like while you're watching them. So like I just found this to be more enjoyable in that
That's
respect.
right. We've gotten into your weird thing with old people before. I totally forgot about this. Old
Wait,
They
people-
was
get-
this
they
all
still-
in the last one? Are you talking about the grandmother in the last movie?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, but they still gave Octavia Spencer like this like little dinky cough, which again
yeah,
is in the
Joe,
book.
you
but
gotta
it's
watch
not
in
bothered.
both of these movies, Joe. You have to watch old people eat, which I now realize was probably pretty harrowing for you.
Oh, that's disgusting. Like I don't like watching people eat in general, but like old people eat, like
I totally forgot that. So, are you enjoying Cece and I eating our dinner pre-show
Yeah.
here?
well, no, I'm just not paying attention. And like in general, like I could eat around other people, but like old people when they're like shaking and like specifically with like soup and anything that will like jiggle, like that's disgusting. Like, you
Wow.
don't want to be around.
Okay. Well, we're gonna get back into that later. Casey, what do you think?
I don't know. I'm a little self-conscious to go out to eat with Joe now.
Sorry.
I'm
Did
getting
I ever
up
tell
there.
you guys that like one time Leslie and I were in line for a buffet in Vegas and we looked to our right and there was an old guy eating chicken and Leslie made us leave. She was like,
in the
I
line.
feel like you had
Yeah.
told us this.
we were in
story
line
before.
and she's like, I can't eat here, not with that guy. So we just left.
God, Joe, you guys are so lucky you found each other. You ever think about that? Just
Sorry,
incredible.
sorry, Casey.
Hey, Casey.
That's okay. Yes.
So,
yes.
what'd you think, buddy?
I think I agree for the most part with everybody. I was more positive on this
movie than negative. There were some problems with the CGI. Didn't really take me out of it that much, though. I felt this had a lot of the same charm as far as the story and the kids go that the original movie did, and that's what I got connected to and got sucked into, and it felt like it was a pretty good update to the movie. It doesn't, while I realized there was differences, I don't think they did anything jarring as far as story wise and what they changed up. So I ended up appreciating for that, and I think it'll be a nice like modern take on stuff. The witches had their moments. I thought they were cool. They don't have the charm as the old, Angelica Houston and the old ones did and whatnot. And Anne Hathaway's snaggle toes really disturbed me.
Oh God, yeah. It's super interesting how, in some ways, it's less disturbing. Like they lean less heavy into like the big mouse scene at the end, but that
Right.
ballroom scene
Yeah.
is like equally disturbing for like some different reasons. Like they
I
do
mean,
go
she
there.
ate that worm off her head, and I was like, "What?
Oh,
Did we need
yeah.
that? I didn't need that."
That was so weird.
No, and the chicken feet and the way
Yeah.
she's it's like a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I sort of have like two opinions on this movie. I think in one way, like just taking it on its face, this is a perfectly fine, whimsical kids movie that's also scary. Like probably a good intro to horror. Anne Hathaway's giving a very kids movie performance. Like the mouse CGI is fine. Like it's the snake specifically. There's a scene of the snake where it's like some of the worst CGI I've ever frigging seen.
It was the snake and the arms of when Anne Hathaway's
the
arms
arm-
extend.
Yeah.
They like use it too many times
But-
for it to like.
But then like other effects
Yeah.
look fantastic. So it's a weird
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
kind of back and forth.
Yeah.
There's another part of me, just as like a person with a podcast who's prone to like overanalyzing movies, and we just like, I'm afraid to say how long ago I thought this was because of the time warp that 2020 is. But did we review the original Witches this year?
It was recently, right?
I
Like,
think it was I think it was last year.
Oh,
I don't
God.
actually
I think
think
it
I
might
was
have
on
been
that
last year.
show.
How do we all
but
disagree? Okay, someone, I need to know. But anyway,
Yeah,
I can-
I'm
like
looking up
it's
right now.
pretty
actually.
fresh. It's pretty fresh in my mind in a way that it wasn't before we did that. And I just think that this movie, I didn't know, but I knew while watching it that this was a movie staying like slavishly pure to the book because it feels exactly like a movie that does that.
well, other than the location change, which is big,
But I
it
just mean, like,
ultimately doesn't
there's
matter that
so
much.
there's like a good 25 to 30 minutes extra exposition in this movie, and most of it is right up front. And to me, it right out of the gate makes this movie feel weird and has a really weird pacing. And I just can't separate it from the original, so I don't know. But I know, like in the original, you got witch shit happening in like 90 seconds, whereas in this movie, it's a good 20 minutes before the word like witches are even brought up. You know what I mean?
Well, he sees the first witch when he's like when he first gets to his grandmom's, but you're right, it's still
No,
like
but
15
that's
minutes.
after all of
Yeah.
her childhood shit, right?
Yeah.
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 Episode 520 was The Witches, which was 2019.
Okay, but
Yeah.
but fairly recent. So,
Yeah.
I don't like the pacing of this thing very much. It actually is like not super enjoyable for me until all of the kids are mice and they start running around. But I think there's a lot of things the original did better. Like I always feel like I have to kind of take up for Anne Hathaway because of Joe's hatred for her sometimes. And like I regret to say I can't do it here because like the accent's a weird fucking choice. Like, and I get that it has to do, like John, you're saying, the whole idea is that they have their regions or whatever. Like, make her the American witch, dude. Give her like a Russian sidekick. Because what I think it's doing is like in the original movie, they just let Angelica Houston be herself,
right.
who's fucking awesome and capable of being weird and sinister on her own. And I think Anne Hathaway is a similar kind of actress that could have gotten there and shown more of her personality. But the accent is so forward, it's all you get. And she's also just like
Yeah.
doing this kind of Scooby-Doo villain thing.
Well, I was
where-
gonna say, she also sounds like Gollum there for a
She's
minute.
so
and you're
over the
like,
top.
When
what
she's
is
doing,
this?
like,
Like
witchy stuff.
Angelica Houston is scarier with a look than she is with all of her like weird hissing and Natasha and
Yeah.
Bullwinkle
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. I would think this would have been scarier if it legit was just Anne Hathaway in this hotel and like
Well-
you're trapped there with her, and she's like, "Hey, let me tell you about the fucking high school version of Rent I was in," like, and you're like trapped at
So-
the dinner table.
But
I'm with you, Eric. Though I didn't think that she was bad. I just think that they tried. I think that they should have let her do
There's-
something else.
Yeah, they're like going too over the top of it when she's really
Mhm.
talented. Like you could have just given her a more subtle thing to work with. The other like, I think the first film is a lot better at drawing out suspense.
Yes.
I think two scenes specifically, like the boardroom scene is maybe the closest in this movie as far as like the quality of the first one of like suspense and being scary. But they, to me, really kind of botched the two main scenes at the end, which is the kitchen scene in the first film is way better and way more tense because there's a lot more question about whether or not he's going to be able to successfully get it in there, and like there's more action going on. It's just better shot, and so is
there's no concern that the kitchen people are going to see them in this
Not
movie.
at
That
all.
was what was super
and then
weird.
they get into
Very
the kitchen, and there's zero suspense about whether or not they're going to eat it. Like literally, they just cut to the first shot when they're in the kitchen. They're all eating it. So I don't know. It's just like they do add now. They kind of make up for that by having more of like a villain confrontation with Anne Hathaway, and that stuff is decent. And I kind of liked when she turns into a rat, like the bell jar thing, whatever. So
That was the biggest change from the original, from the book. Like, I mean, I put a lot of the structural issues actually at the book's feet. This, they like try to punch up the action in some places,
but
and that confrontation scene is like the biggest.
that's exactly the
single
point, though,
change.
because like, and this is, I think, the myopic way that like obsessive book readers kind of forget that like sometimes things get cut from a book because they don't make sense in a movie narrative. And when I now look at the original movie, I see a lot of really deliberate choices to keep that pacing quick, to make things simpler, and to get you right into the witch story. Whereas like they're giving you a little backstory here. So I don't know. I think this is like a perfectly cromulent kids movie that like kids could see. Kids are going to see this as young kids, get scared by it, and like keep that attachment. Like they're gonna be kids who love this movie just like kids who love the original.
Well, yeah. I mean, I mentioned.
I can't
watched this
separate. I can't separate the two.
Yeah, so I watched this with my 4 and 6-year-old, and I was like talking it up all week. So we read the book probably back in like February or March. Like I think we might have been reading it like when we went into pandemic lockdown, which I should have remembered, but like also there's like legit reasons I blocked that out. So like the book is actually more fresh to me than the other film, but my kids really enjoyed this movie, you know, like, and for me, that made me enjoy it probably more than I would have otherwise. I totally agree. I don't think, well, but I don't think I like the other one better. I think the other one has, Eric, everything you're saying, like the decisions about what got edited and what got cut and what they focused on, I do think was much tighter in that first movie. This one has a lot of fun set pieces, which for kids is like, the funny thing, so like the scene that probably made my kids scream the loudest, like, and I'm talking not like, you know, they're very expressive when they're watching things, but like it's kind of rare when they like legit yell. And like the one where they yelled was when he's trying to get the potion and he's in the sock and they're like pulling him up. And she comes and grabs the bottom of the sock. My son, like, I thought he was having a heart attack. Like, he lost it.
I couldn't remember. I couldn't remember
So
if that
which
was like
one were
if
they?
that had a scene, an analogous scene in the first film.
Which one were the kids more freaked out by, the original or this one?
Well, I don't know if they've seen the original now that I think about it. Because
I thought you showed it to them. Because Mia and I, or my daughter, watched with Leslie and I like a couple months ago, or maybe even a few weeks ago. And the scene with like where the baby almost goes over the cliff, like freaked her the fuck out.
Yeah.
But like, so we were supposed to watch this with her, but we ran out of time. So Leslie and I just watched it alone last night. And Mia walked into the room, like getting ready for bed while we were watching it. And like the look of like we had crossed her on her face when she saw that we were watching this without her.
Yeah.
No,
we'll watch it again.
Yeah. I feel like this one was less frightening for kids than the original, probably because of the practical effects. Like
less frightening.
the transformation, like specifically with like the kids turning into the mice, is like very quick in this, which is weird because you would think with CGI they would drag that out and do more, but it's very much like, I think the witch is the only one that we see actually a little bit of the transformation. The other ones are kind of just, they shoot in the air and then foam their pants. Like,
Well, and also, like, I mean, in the original, Angelica Houston peels her face off.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's pretty, like, iconic. And in this one, they literally just pull their wigs off and,
Well,
and
I
their
did
mouth.
I
think
think
that
Schnars was saying earlier with the original being Henson produced, that was
Yeah.
obviously a pretty big influence on
Yeah.
those witches, and those witches were a lot scarier when she got the prosthetics and stuff. Though.
it's definitely a little bit of edges rounded off, but I will say that for 2020, for like modern kids movie, I was a little surprised because they could have gone farther in like sanding it down, and they didn't. I think that ballroom transformation scene is still real messed up. Like that whole chicken feed situation is gonna stay with me for a long time.
Yeah.
The weird three
Well,
finger
and-
hands, like the worm, like that was like, it's still disgusting in a way that I think stays truer to the book than you might have expected somebody for a kids movie in 2020. I guess,
The
is what I'm
mouth
saying.
thing. So like the mouth thing, I believe is straight from the book. It's weird because there were times where it looked a little janky CGI-y, but like there were a couple times where I was like, yeah, this is good. Like this
Yeah.
might give them nightmares. You
I
know?
Well,
like
and
the-
it's hard
the
for. I
mouth
think
thing
it's
had
hard.
its moments.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
I think
But
the thing we'll never
sorry, Eric.
know. No, it's right. I was just gonna say the thing we'll never know is because we are that generation that grew up with the practical and then had to learn to like accept CGI. But I don't know, like for a kid who grows up with CGI, maybe that's just as scary. Like, you know what I mean? Like maybe there isn't that
Yeah.
disconnect that we have with it because we can spot it.
Yeah. I think the problem I had more with the mouth thing is that made all the witches kind of the same, whereas there was a lot more variety in the original, wasn't there? So
Yeah.
as they all
Yeah.
start peeling
Yeah.
off their face, you didn't really know what you're going to get, and that's what amped the fun up because they were all kooky and weird. And with the mouth, then the CGI makes them all a little more samey.
I mean, 75% of the witches in the original one were men, right? Like when
Yeah.
they pan to that scene.
Yeah,
That's
maybe.
true too.
Well, it's funny, like so because the in the original they also had the really long noses,
Mhm.
which
Mhm.
you know they describe it in the book as like they have big nostrils, which they talk about in this movie. But
Yeah.
instead of doing the long nose, there is a sequence which I actually thought was like good effects. She's like
Her,
sniffing
her
around.
nose
Yeah.
getting bigger,
Her
yeah.
nose is kind of just like getting bigger. I don't know.
Pretty
Yeah.
disturbing,
was
but
weird.
that's what I mean. I mean, there's still some pretty disturbing stuff. The for me it was early on in the little girl turning into a chicken messed me up, dude. That
Oh,
effect
yeah.
when she comes out and she's still half human and she's like pecking things, like dude, and she's just got the two chicken legs.
Yeah.
That shit
Yeah.
was real, dog. That was crazy.
Yeah. I mean, this in a lot of ways, this is a like prototypical or maybe even like throwback Robert Zemeckis film. Like what he was known for was kind of like more effects heavy type stuff, and he had like gotten away from it a little bit. But like when you look back at some of the stuff he's done, you're like, okay, now it makes sense. Like he,
You know, it's got that very
sweeping
sweeping, like whimsical score to it. You know, that like kind of gives it that like almost
Yeah.
a little bit of that vibe from the kids' movies from when we were.
I was so Joe mentioned the 3D thing. So that was like immediately it was like a visceral reaction I had. The first scene where I noticed it was the when the mice are running in the air vent and she does the arm thing, and
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
a 7-second shot of her arms coming at the screen, which
Yeah.
makes no goddamn sense. I am just curious, like the question I was gonna ask is what was the last 3D movie that we saw? Because I feel like they had kind of given up on this as
Right.
a thing.
Oh God.
So for them to have like kind of gone back and be like, yeah, let's give this 3D one more shot, you know, and then like,
See,
I
even
don't know.
before that, I think there was a scene that was supposed to be 3D when we first met Anne Hathaway when she walked up to Stanley Tucci and held her arm out. The cat crawled up over her arm and was
yeah.
standing at the end of it. That obviously had to have been shot.
yeah,
for 3D.
no, there were a lot of like little things like
did-
that, but
I liked that kind of physical acting stuff with the cat being on her arm all the time and stuff.
I'm just scanning through like what we've seen. Was it chapter 2? That wasn't in 3D, was it?
No,
No,
I
I
mean
don't
it's
think so.
been.
I don't
It must
remember.
have been at least 3 or 4 years since I saw a movie in 3D. But I also
well, and
stopped.
I just-
But
but
like I
even the
voluntarily
kids
stopped
stuff,
seeing them.
I feel like they stopped doing in 3D. You know, I mean,
I mean, like Disney movies, they still put out in 3D and stuff, but like, it was a weird choice to do this if they were gonna put it out in 3D. I agree with you there.
So we
well,
did. We haven't.
It looks really bad when you have to release it on HBO Max because of
Yeah.
the pandemic. So
We haven't really mentioned that the changing of the setting to Alabama and then casting Octavia Spencer sort of like adds like a racial element to it. I don't
Mhm.
know if that's part of the original book, but
not at all.
it's interesting because they make it a point to really like put a point on it especially when she gets to the hotel and Stanley, she has this like real awkward moment with Stanley Tucci, but then they kind of don't come back to it.
Well,
I
only
kn-
at the very end where
the
she
very
gets all
end.
the money
Yeah.
and she tips the
The
staff basically like really aggressively. No, I totally agree. It's a weird choice. I mean, it's a fine choice. Like, look, if you're gonna modernize the film and try to Americanize it, like this is as good a way to do it as any. And like, I actually think the setting worked. Like, there were some cool musical choices and things. You know, like the way they
Yeah.
pulled in some of the music from the
Yeah.
time period, or some inappropriate time period music we can talk about potentially. But yeah, I mean, it's weird only insofar as like they kind of like half mention it. And to your point,
Yeah.
like it is Alabama. Like they
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
Yeah.
this wasn't like.
Well, she also says to him
happening-
like, he's like, why are we gonna go to this hotel? And she's like, because this is where it'll be safe, because this is where all the rich white people go.
yeah.
Which I mean, and I'm with John. Like, it doesn't. I mean, I'm totally fine with them doing that, and I think that that's how they had to, like, if you're going to go in this time period in America, like you've got to acknowledge
Yeah.
it. And I think that, it's probably a lot more layered than they were probably wanting to have to go into for a kids movie to like talk about race in terms of it. So
Yeah.
like I think they probably were going with, well, we'll mention it and we'll allude to these things where you kind of have
Yeah.
it, but we're not focusing on that.
And it is,
which,
yeah. I mean, it is interesting too as a kids movie. Like they're showing it, like they're not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Instead of glossing over it.
Right.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, I
Or just
love
acting like
Octavia
it's not
Spencer.
there.
And I thought she was great. I love her in everything she's in. But I really liked the little kid. I thought he was great too.
Oh, he was awesome.
Something about seeing this movie, this story play out in modern times, like, and not through the filter of like, I mean, basically an 80s movie. It came out in 90, but it feels very 80s. Like, put a point on how hilariously overcomplicated the witch's plot is. Like, you're talking about witches who can like fly.
You mean their plan?
Anne
Yeah, their
Hathaway
plan.
shoots like lightning fucking magic out of her hands, like Emperor Palpatine style. Like,
Mhm.
these witches can do some shit, and their plan involves buying candy stores, feeding them tainted candy to turn them into mice so they can kill them. But then there's a really hilarious scene where like they kill the mice, and it's like, then it's really hard to kill a mouse because it's running around. They're like, grab the mallet, and they're like, and it's like, all I could think was like, what? You guys have all this money, just buy guns and just shoot all the
Well,
kids.
but that's where like that's the Roald Dahl stuff. Like that's like
Yeah.
Right.
look at,
Well,
like,
but what I'm
Charlie
saying is
Brown
like there's
Act.
something funny about then seeing it, I guess, in a modern movie, because in a modern movie you wouldn't see this kind of. It would be a little more rationalized out or made to. I don't know. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, no, you're right. Like, well, so I guess another way, if I'm playing back what you're saying, so that stuff all comes from the book, right? It's like, and it's very much like the dullness of it. Like, if you read BFG or even Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and go watch and those movies too. But
I only think
For-
of Doom when you say BFG. I just want you to know.
But this was like a glossier take, and so it does like throw it into more contrast that
It's
they
just
have this like, super
hilarious.
goofy plot
Yeah.
basically
Yeah.
that they're like trying to hatch.
And also, like, why? Like, it's just funny. They never even mention why they need to kill all the kids, other than they're just gross and they smell bad.
Well,
Like,
I mean,
No,
like,
that
kids,
is,
like
they
kids,
hate
like
you.
that's. I mean, hello. Ever since you have Baba Yaga or like Hansel and Gretel, like
yeah,
witches either eat kids or they don't like kids.
That's
That's
fair.
just a known fact.
it's just like to what John's saying though. It's just funny. Like, it's very
Yeah, of
funny
course.
watching
They
it.
smell
in
like
this setting.
duty.
Yeah.
Mhm. That's what it means. So, fun fact: looking at IMDb, apparently Jennifer Lopez was set to be the witch and was even filmed for a few scenes before Anne Hathaway came in.
Wow,
What a wonderful movie this would have been if Yellow was in there.
that would have been wild. Well, I was looking. So Octavia Spencer, not that old. Like she should
No.
probably be a little
Leslie
pissed
and I
off
had
about.
this-
That's
Yeah.
why I'm like, why does she always get cast as like the homely mom or like a homely
Yeah.
mother? I'm like, she's amazing.
Like the homely
Leslie and
lady
I
that
had this
gives
conversation
teenagers
last night,
alcohol.
like,
Yeah, exactly.
The homely lady
It's-
with
it's tough, you know.
mouse grandchildren.
is there anything nice we want to say about Tucci? Because that guy's delightful.
I
Like,
mean,
just
He's a
love
little
him.
underutilized, but yeah, he's good.
Yeah.
He's good.
Yeah.
You know what?
Yeah. No, that's yeah. I felt that was weird because in the original, what is it? Rowan Atkins, that's his name,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
He was the maitre d. You get fucking Tucci. You make Tucci 75% of the movie.
The
Like,
Tooch.
Yeah.
You know what,
I
John?
needed more Tooch.
When you I just remembered something that like a thought that I wanted to say. Like, I really prefer this ending, and by ending I mean specifically what happens with the kids, because
Yeah.
I think I remember saying that when we watched the movie, that like you could feel that was not the original ending of the story in the movie, because they get all the way there and they're just like, just kidding, we're kids again, like in a total
Yeah.
movie kind of way. This is way better, first of all. Second of all, being a mouse kid looks fucking awesome. They're literally
Well,
just
that
like,
sequence in the roller coaster was
looks
awesome.
like
Was
the
like-
shit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like no responsibility, John. You don't ever have to vote or worry about the election. You're just a fucking mouse, dude. You're just living in
Yeah.
the basement. Who cares?
You get to be a mouse and hang out all
This
the
is like
time.
my
on roller
this is my
coasters, hang out with
2020
Kristen
dream.
Chenoweth.
This is I was mentioning this a little bit over email, but this is where to me this book is it's a really weird book. Like I like the book, but it's in rereading it pretty recently, like the ending is the weirdest part because it's like similar to this movie where there's a pretty long sort of quote unquote epilogue. The end of the book, like the witches all die and there's still like 40 pages left, and it actually becomes this like almost like metaphysical discussion about life and death between the kid and the grandmother, and their whole they mention it very briefly here where he says like, how long do mice live? And she's like, oh, I don't know, like 8 or 9 years. And he's like, that's great, we'll both die at the same time, basically. And that same conversation happens in the book, but it's over like a little bit longer of a time period. And then there is this whole thing of like, then they decide like they're just gonna like live their best life and have adventures trying to like stop other witches, basically. I mean, you know, and which I thought they did a really nice, like if anything, that got tightened up a little bit
Yeah,
here and handled in a way that I thought was pretty good.
yeah. And they in the original movie they strip all that nuance out of it.
Yeah.
Pretty much all of it.
Well,
So-
dude, what kid wants to think about friggin'
Well,
only
yes,
living 8
correct.
years as a mouse and then dying?
Yeah.
Or
So
their grandma dying.
it's interesting
That's
you say
rough.
that, John, because listen to this on the Wikipedia. This kind of surprised me. The Witches was banned by some libraries due to perceived misogyny. It appears in the American Library Association list of the 100 most frequently challenged books of 1990 to 1999 at number 22. Some critics consider the book sexist, with one stating that the book is how boys learn to become men who hate women. Others see the book as presenting a more balanced message about learning to see past surface inspirations. One critic considers it a, quote, unlikely source of inspiration for feminists. And then here you go, John. Questions have also been raised about the ending of the book, with some critics suggesting it might encourage suicide in children by telling them they can avoid growing up by dying.
Huh.
So
There you go.
Why, does it say why the book is considered sexist? Like,
I
I'm
think
legit
just probably
curious.
because of the perception of the way it's painting just women as like
Oh,
witches
women.
Is evil.
would be my guess.
Interesting.
Yeah.
There's no man witches.
There's a lot going on there in the old witches.
A man witch is a meal, John.
That's true.
Mhm.
You
No-
remember that commercial?
There's no warlocks.
Mm.
God, 1983. That blows my mind, Eric. I'll be straight up with you.
Yeah, when did you say it was written? Like,
I thought it was from the
40s?
40s.
Wikipedia doesn't lie, John.
Yeah, no, you're right. Well, so he was born in 1916, so like he was active as a writer from 42 to 1990. And I
Damn.
just like assumed most of his books came from like right after World War II, but obviously not.
I don't plan to be
Because
active.
James and the Giant Peach and stuff didn't it?
I don't plan
I-
to be active as a human that long. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he had a good run there. He was like a
True.
code cracker. He's actually there's like I haven't read it, but there's like apparently a really good biography about him because I believe he worked in like intelligence during the Second World War. So
Yeah, I heard that. I read about that too.
Who's that, John?
Huh.
Raold Dahl.
Raold Dahl.
Got it. I cannot say it without drooling. Fact. All right, guys, that's gonna do it for the witches. Cece, what do you think?
Sure, if you're bored, and definitely if you have kids.
Yeah, Joe,
I'd say yes. Yeah. Thumbs up.
John,
I'll say with the kids.
Casey.
I'd say yeah.
Yeah, I think if you love the original, but you're kind of afraid it's too much for your kids, this is kind of the perfect middle ground. But I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Also, if you love the original and you don't have kids or you don't want to watch it with your kids, I don't think this is really going to do it for you.
Yeah, if you're nostalgic for the old one, just go watch the
Just
old
go
one.
watch the old
Don't
one
watch
because it's
this one.
still dope as shit. So there you go. All right, guys. It's going to do it for the witches. Let's take a quick break and do some fan mail.
Somewhere in deepest space, all hell is breaking loose.
They cut the power.
How could they cut the power, man? They're animals.
Get them out of there!
Aliens. This time, it's war. Aliens, the new movie. Rated R.
This is Diane Franklin from Better Off Dead with Bloody Good Horror.
Send feedback to info@bloodygoodhorror.com or on Twitter using hashtag AskBGH. Join Patreon to get back episodes and much more. Patreon.com/bloodygoodhorror.
And we're back.
Eric, really quick, in my Roald Dahl research, the Roald research I'm doing right now, wrote the screenplay for You Only Live Twice, which is the 5th James Bond film.
I don't know if that's John. I don't watch James Bond movies. They're not good.
I'm sure I've seen that one. John,
I mean,
you seem like a kind of guy that's seen all the Bond movies, right?
Damn it.
No, I would say I've seen at least half, if I had to guess, but it's been a while. Like, I haven't seen one in, I don't know. I've thought about going back. And,
This came up on the Slacks as of late. I don't care for what's the most recent James Bond. Daniel Craig.
Daniel Craig.
Oh, really?
Oh,
I like
boy.
Daniel Craig.
I just they're not fun anymore, right? Like his like girlfriend died. Like the whole it's depressing. Like they're not.
I'm gonna be honest
they're
with you.
definitely less fun, but they're pretty good.
I'm gonna be honest with
Yeah.
you. They do literally nothing for me.
I believe Shelton is like a completist, maybe even having read a lot of the books.
I've seen quite a few of them. I couldn't tell you for sure which movies belong to which Bond.
So Joe, you you recently have been, let's say, calling out people on Cameo, other quote unquote celebrities, who basically telling them that you are doing Cameo better than they are.
I mean, I am right. Like
Yeah.
that's just a. So my thing is like, and to be honest, like I usually throw out like a random name, but like I give you guys like 7, like sometimes 8 minutes. We did get one like specifically saying like, hey, just fucking cut it off at 3. But like, my point is, you're paying $5 for ours. I'm giving you like almost 10 minutes worth of content here. You pay like some other guy like 200, and he's giving you like 30 seconds, like, "Hey, happy birthday to your wife," whose name he probably mispronounced, and like that's it. So
Well-
I'm just saying.
Well, Joe, I believe that tonight may be the first shot fired in what we'll call the Cameo Wars someday. We got a message here from someone that wanted to give you a little advice on how to make your cameos better.
Ooh.
Are you familiar, Joe, with the Saw franchise?
I've heard of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember Shawnee Smith?
Get out of here. I love Shawnee.
Also, according to her Cameo profile, and I remembered this when I read this, from Becker.
Oh yeah.
Remember that show?
Fun fact. Not to completely jump back, but Donald Pleasant, the bad guy in You Only Live Twice.
Yeah. I did. I saw that.
Yeah.
So let me paint this picture for you, Joe, because you can't. I'm going to give you the same experience that the listeners are going to get, but it takes a little bit of visual here. So she's in a very dark room with a big, creepy, like kind of parka on, and there's like a candle next to her, so it's like spooky.
Okay.
Okay.
I like that. Can you? Well, I guess we can watch the video after.
Yeah. It's all in the audio, Joe. You'll hear it.
Okay.
For Cameo. It's all about the lighting.
Wait a second. Damn it.
Mm.
I know.
I
know. Sorry. Let me click on this
It
again.
is.
It didn't. I thought
got
it started over.
tingles.
Stand by. Okay, here we go, Joe.
Hey, Joe. It's Shawnee Smith.
Ooh.
And I have some bloody good horror advice for you.
I think it goes without saying, Joe. Never let your wife listen to this.
I think she's flirting with me, right?
All right, here we go.
For cameo. It's all about the lighting.
So she's
and
spooky
the
lighting.
Suspense.
Mm. Can you guys turn off your cameras while I listen to this?
I know you can do it. I know you can.
All right, I'm just going to turn off
Because
my
I'm going to tell you how to do it. All you need is a quiet voice. A ridiculous, down winter parka.
Fair warning, she's about to yell really loud at one point, and I don't know where it is, so it's probably going to hurt your ears. I'm sorry, because she's talking so low right now. So, there you go. This dog.
With a
That's
ridiculous,
my dog. I don't know what he's freaking.
warm hood and a candle stuck in a empty whiskey bottle. That's all you need.
Now she's smiling creepily.
So there you go. Now I'm your cameo Yoda. Joe.
That's my favorite part.
Plus there's the best advice of you just stick with it. Persistence. Nothing beats persistence.
It's true.
Not even suspense. And scary lighting.
So weird.
Good luck, Joe. I'm rooting for you.
There you go, buddy. That's it.
Did
That
somebody
is
write that
so
script for
weird.
her, or is that just weed?
Joe?
I don't know what to make of that. I want to like see the actual video here. That is weird.
Yeah, it doesn't make it less weird when you see the video. But what I like is like she's committing to the concept and like
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, you have a new bar to me when it comes to like cameo conceptuality.
Yeah. Well, I don't. You kind of set this up as like shots fired, which I don't think that is. I think it's just one cameo celeb to another, myself. Like,
Just a couple of celebs talking shop, you know?
yeah, exactly. No, I appreciate it. Thank you, Shawnee.
These bastards don't appreciate me.
Are we dating now? Is that? I don't. It's been a while since I've been in the dating game, but like, what base did I just get to?
I think you got to the base where she's gonna leave a note on your.
I know, Joe. I
notes.
think
Yeah.
Joe. I think in quarantine all the bases have changed. So
Yeah.
yeah, it might be farther than
True.
we think.
I'm just looking up. Whoever bought that paid $40 for that. So, so good for you.
Yeah, I'll tell you.
plus.
I'll tell you who it was off air, Joe.
Yeah.
But let's just say I had this in my inbox for like a week, and I didn't know that you didn't know about it, or I would have been like 1,000 times more excited about it. I just
No.
realized like 10 minutes before the show when I mentioned it to you, and you're like, "No, what?" So there we are.
I'm looking at her profile now. There is one tagged just pep talk, which I may actually be the one that she did for me, like on her profile page. No, it's not. For some asshole named Tyler. Forget it. Fuck you, Tyler.
Hey, John.
Yes.
Do you want to talk about how?
Should we? Sorry, before we jump into that, should we say that like we are in the final days
Oh,
of
yes, please, I'm
our
sorry.
cameo, where we're donating the proceeds to the League of Women Voters for the entire month of October. So what this comes out on Friday, so you still got a couple days. You can send your Halloween greetings or just tell someone you dislike to go fuck themselves. Like we'll do what you got to do. But thanks to everybody that's done it. We've raised a ton, which I was pleasantly surprised with. So it's been a ton of fun. So thank you.
Yeah, 1 week left. You can do it. Donate. John?
Eric?
Speaking of the election coming up, do you want to talk about how all of our closest patrons got to see Drunk John for the first time ever this weekend?
Well, a lot of them had seen it before,
No,
to be fair.
No. Oh, well, actually,
Well-
that's true. Some of them had. This was a much larger group of people, though.
Yeah. Anyone that came to Chicago, I mean, I would say that was probably a worse performance by me,
So
or
we-
better.
we
depending
did-
on
we
your
did our first
perspective.
ever-
Isn't it worse than
No, Milwaukee. I
Milwaukee?
think we
Oh,
were
that's
worse.
sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Milwaukee was where I had to tell the new class people that they were not allowed to take you out a second time that night. Like I made them put you back in the house so we could put you to bed.
Yeah. No, we did the Halloween party.
It was
a delight.
awesome. Yeah. So like we
Yeah.
did this like Zoom-tacular party because we wanted to meet up this year. Obviously we couldn't. And we're just missing everybody. It's been a year since we did the last meetup. So yeah, we did this Zoom thing. We did trivia, costume contest, which that was like most of it. And then just hanging out. And then a bunch of people did like a watch and chat in Slack after that. But
Some great costumes.
Here's
like
what-
I was
Yeah.
blown away at some of the costumes.
the
for sure.
coolest thing for me was like, there were people like your trainer, John Jenna, who like came to the first ever little baby meetup we did in New York City. You know what I mean? But and then there's
God
people
bless,
there's
because
people
when you say baby meetup, it was like there was like 3 of us basically.
well, there was like 4
Yeah.
people that came
Yeah,
out.
I
But
don't know,
at the
whatever it was,
time,
for
that was like the coolest thing ever that people came out to meet us, right? And then people came out to the 10-year. People came out. We met for the first time in Chicago. People we've never met in real life, like people who have kind of been Slack lurkers but haven't been active that much. And like seeing everybody together in the same place, having this event, we're all stuck in quarantine. It's Halloween time and kind of missing the normal stuff we would do during the season. It was really cool. It was a really special thing. It was a little weird for me because I was sober and I watched everybody get increasingly shit-faced throughout the night, including you, John. My favorite thing is Joe and John were 2 of the most messed up people and they didn't notice each other's situation.
Well, so
Yeah.
my story is that I got myself a Bourbon County Stout as like a treat that I was going to enjoy during the event, and I was like, I'm just going to nurse this thing through the event. I finished it after like an hour, and I then went and got another beer, which that was like the fatal mistake because then the stout,
That'll get you every time.
yeah, that thing hit me like a freight train, and I was already like, well into another beer and feeling it, and so I was like, I'm just here yucking it up.
I
Like,
didn't
let's
even
keep
know you
going.
were still there. Like you went mute. That's how you know John is drunk. So John does this thing where he goes mute and like won't talk or can't talk, and he'll just gesture and then just like
Well,
make faces.
It is hard in that kind of environment where it's like, because you can't go one-to-one.
I didn't
It's
have
like
any problems,
You either
John.
have to talk to everybody or
I
know.
am well trained at talking over people, John. It's not a problem. But
Well,
you legit
where?
like
Yeah.
you disappeared.
know.
Like I knew Joe was there. I knew everybody else was there. Like you disappeared for like a half an hour, and then suddenly I had it on speaker view or something because I think maybe Shelton doing trivia had put it on that, and then you just randomly popped up on my screen, looking totally confused. Like you just had no idea who you were.
I was so out of my depth in the trivia. The trivia was excellently done by Sheldon.
It was-
no
No, it was
surprise.
amazing.
Okay.
Shout
That
out.
video he did was insane.
But I think I probably got like 3 right, and I was also trying to like work the fucking response sheet while I was 3 sheets to the wind. I mean, it was like not
that
a
was
good.
yours. I didn't even bother trying to do the trivia. I knew it was not going to go well,
Yeah.
and there was no reason to even.
Oh, I
Open that
won.
thing.
I won one of the rounds, John.
I know. What was it, Eric?
I think
Butts
I
or
won the
whatever it
round.
was?
I think I won the round with the video because I got
Oh, I
so
thought
many
you
of
won
them.
the Friday the 13th.
And
round.
then
Wasn't it?
I had used for that round the email address Eric Butts 69 or something like
Yeah, Eric 69 Butts, I believe. Yeah.
that, with a Z at gmail.com. Yeah, and then somebody went and made that email address, so you can email Eric69Butts at gmail.com. We actually might have got an email from it tonight. Actually, if I'm looking over here.
Of course. Why
Yeah.
not?
Yes, we got an email from Eric69Butts at gmail.com, which I'll read here shortly.
There you go.
So there you
Yeah,
go.
but it was a delight. I was a mess. Everybody. It seemed like everybody had a good time.
It
though.
was really awesome. Thank you, everyone who came out and showed up. The whole crew was there. Cece, you were there.
Yeah,
That was
Cece,
lovely to
yeah.
have you there.
I
I
Cece.
was
do
there
remember Cece
just
being there.
sober.
I remember seeing Kyle too. We got
Yes.
a Kyle appearance.
Yeah, we got
gave
to
a cameo.
we got to really
Highlight of the
sexually
evening.
harass Kyle for a while, which was wonderful as always.
Oh man.
It was great.
We should do this again.
Joe, you want to talk about spilling a whole beer on your keyboard?
I disappeared for like a half an hour because I spilled a beer on my computer and then was like, I was talking, but apparently like no one could hear me, and like so I was talking to Matt and Jamie, two of our listeners, and I'm like, can anybody fucking hear me? And they're like, no, I can't. So then I was trying to solve that by like restarting and like cleaning everything, and I'm like, I might as well smoke. And it was just a terrible
in the
idea.
middle
like,
of tech troubleshooting. I love your confidence.
So when I finally got back on, it must have been like after the trivia ended. So like nobody was there, but there was just like random people talking, and it felt like a horror movie where there's like voices in your head. And I'm just I think I ended the night on myself and just said like, all right, I'm leaving everybody, and then just like closed everything down, which I think was the right choice.
I had this real weird moment towards the end of the night where like I started to feel like I was in. It's like the scene in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory where they have the fizzy drinks. It was like I was seated and planted on Earth, and I could see everyone around me floating away, and I was just like, I don't know where these people are. I don't know what is happening. It got a little crazy there towards the end, but it was awesome.
Like I wasn't like wigging out, but I was definitely just like, I don't want to be here anymore. I'm done with you people.
Yeah, Joe had a perfectly Joe exit, and everyone enjoyed it. So
yeah,
John
Shout
stayed
out
there
to
for a while.
Adam.
Like that was my point. Is I just assumed John left around the time Joe did, and John was there almost the whole time.
No, I was there. I don't know that I made. I think I made it right to the end of trivia, and then I was like, all right.
That was pretty much it. And then we people hung out for like a few minutes, and then everybody got offline and went over to the watch and chat to watch a movie, and they watched something, but I didn't.
I thought Adam did a lovely job hosting.
Mhm.
Yeah. There was even like a little MC component he had to. We did not necessarily prepare him for, but he did great. So, good times.
Yeah, it was really wonderful. So thank you again.
What
to
did
everybody
Eric
who showed up.
Butts have to say about
Oh,
it?
we didn't even say who I went for as Halloween, John.
Oh yeah, it was a highlight. Honestly, I was very surprised. Suzanne, who you apparently had tipped off to this,
John, this idea hit me in July to go as you.
Wow.
As you for Halloween. I shit you not. I ordered this shit that moment when I thought of it, and it has been sitting. It moved apartments with me. I've been guarding it, waiting for my moment.
So during the night, I took a screenshot of it and sent it to Suzanne, and I was like, "Oh yeah, Eric told me he let you know that this was happening," and she was like, "I don't even know what the fuck this is." She was like, "What?" I was like, "I'll explain it to you."
So
later."
Yeah, I don't think you understand how monocles work, Eric. Like they don't just like hang. From hats.
I have glasses, Joe. So here's what I did. I went and I ordered a. You ever heard of this site Poshmark, John? This is the thing I learned about in this process.
God, you bought it from Poshmark.
Yes.
I didn't. I'm not.
What the fuck is that?
It's just it's a site where people sell their used clothes or whatever, right? So like Well, listen, it was clean.
You were wearing a used monocle?
Yeah, it's fine.
I mean, it's
I
like
needed a
costume
Duke hat, and I didn't want to spend a lot of money. I'm not gonna spend like $30 in a hat I'm gonna wear it once. Like you think I'm gonna wear a fucking Duke hat more than once? So
Why?
I got
John.
I got the cheapest one at Poshmark. It was $4.99. I ordered a monocle from like some costume shop, right? So and then
okay.
I already
'Cause
had.
you would definitely have pink eye.
No,
You
no,
want
I'm
a
not gonna.
used fucking monocle.
I already had the V-neck. I figured that was perfect. And then, but what I kept thinking was like, I need white gloves. That part I bought the day of the party. I went to Target because I figured it's winter now. The gloves will be out. I got myself some white gloves because, of course, John, not only did you use them for duels, but you also wore them when working in the rare book.
Yeah.
No,
the
that
rare
That's what
book
I thought
room.
they were for.
When I saw the white gloves, that was a.
So the
that
best,
was-
the best by
That
far,
was
the
a nice touch.
the best screenshot of me in the night is me like doctor style, like pulling the white glove on with the monocle hanging perfectly in place. I then spent a good 20 minutes in the middle of the day finding photos of the Duke campus so that I could cycle out my backgrounds throughout the night. But yeah, I got so excited in the middle of the afternoon. I was like, only one other person knew this, and I had to tell someone else. And I was like, I messaged your wife, Suzanne, on Instagram to tell her. And she was like, just make sure not to make his ego too big. And I was like, I think we're good.
yeah. That's the outcome. It's just like,
Oh
this is what
God,
she's concerned about.
it was great, John.
Yeah. It's good times.
That's wonderful.
I was very amused and surprised.
Of course, you really kind of threw me a curveball in the last few weeks here, becoming the singer of "To Puddle of Mud" like in front of our eyes in real time. But I guess I always need a costume for next year, so
There you go.
long hair and dirt stash it is.
I don't know. Suzanne's response sounds like there's, trouble in paradise there. Don't let his ego get too big.
Yeah. All right. Exactly.
All right. Info at bloodygoodhorror.com. We'll bang through these quick. Our good friend Roald. I was heartbroken. Joe didn't have a theme for his tweets. I made this for him. I didn't want it in headphones. I didn't check it in headphones, and I am not sure of the quality, so I understand if it doesn't work in the show, but if you can make sure he at least knows I care enough about him to devote 15 minutes while working in my graduate program, I'd appreciate it. So this is the intro to a Limp Bizkit song where he's like, Fred Durst is like, introducing, and then my voice comes on, and it's like, Joe, and then Fred Durst comes back on. He's like, and the hot dog flavored water. I can't play it. We'll get a YouTube strike. I'm sorry, but it was amazing.
It was, phenomenal.
Yeah, I listen to it every morning when I wake up now.
Joe has indeed heard it. Next up, Adam. Adam wants to know. He was on Reddit asking for kids movie recommendations, and they were either way too scary or way too late. So he wants to know, what's your go-to middle of the road scary kid movie?
I mean,
Already
this one's
scared
not
stupid.
bad. Already scared stupid.
That's pretty kiddie though.
Okay, I would
safe
say
though.
I would say Paranorman, but that's kind of
I
scary.
think this is what I get from this email. He's looking to push it a little bit, but not show some. He doesn't want to like totally mess his kids up.
So
Paranorman,
Paranorman is a good one. I tried to show that to my kids a year ago, and they could not handle it. I showed them Monster House this year, and they liked that. I think Monster House is like less scary than Paranorman.
If you're trying to push it, what about a movie like Super 8? I don't remember how scary that movie gets.
It's a little too adult.
Yeah,
I love
that's over the head.
That's like Stranger Things level kind of.
Wait,
Like,
what age did he say? What was he? Or did he? I mean, I feel like
no,
stuff
he
like
does not.
Beetlejuice would.
I'm sorry. Yes, my eldest is 6.
Oh, all right.
So he's
Yeah,
trying to
we
hit
showed
the
Beetlejuice
sweet
to my
spot.
6-year-old.
Trying to hit the sweet spot between fairy tale and scary movie.
So I'm also considering Labyrinth is currently available on maybe Netflix or Amazon Prime, but I think I'm going to show that to my kids this year too. So, I'll throw that out there.
Hot take. That movie's not good.
What movie?
Labyrinth?
Oh, shut!
I don't know.
I
have a
can't.
soft
Even, I
spot.
can't.
Strong disagree.
I cannot.
Yeah.
I cannot engage with you on this show. I'm sorry. Next up, we got an email from Eric Butts.
Yeah, boy.
I know this email uses an S, but is Eric 69 Butts meant to be with an S or a Z? I prefer Z personally. Please answer this burning question. Thanks. It's a Z, obviously. Have to make that one. Next up,
A joy.
from Steve B. Romero, 69 at gmail.com. My name's Steve B. Romero. I'm the brother to George A. Romero. I also make movies. I am sad to see that Bloody Good Horror never reviews my movies. I heard Bloody Good Horror is great. The podcast is funny. I like funny podcasts. I also hear the Slack community is full of good and nice people. Thank you for being good people. Check out my movies. My name is Steve B. Romero. Sincerely yours. There you go. Info at bloodygoodhorror.com is the email address. We're also on Twitter. Joe, you master of Cameo, Joe. Please bring us tweets tonight.
Yeah, we got tweets. We're on Twitter at BG Horror. Every week we post up if you want to send in questions using the hashtag AskBGH. And we got a handful. First up from our buddy Skizbot. Does anyone else have a big box of random cables, wires, and cords? Who knows when you might need an extra USB cable? Am I right?
1,000%.
I literally
like
have
this
a bag right here.
Yeah, I have like a little box right over there with just phone chargers from 20 years ago that wouldn't.
You
fit
never know when
anything,
you might
but
need like a 10-foot headphone extender cord. Like I have this shit in a box. I have tons of it.
I think everybody has one of those. Next up from X Christian X. I know that Eric used to have a fear of Uncle Traveling Matt. But what about Uncle Punk Matt? And he's got this picture. I can send it to you guys. I think it's Uncle Traveling Matt. Looks like he got electrocuted or something.
No, he's dressed like a punk, right? I don't know.
Been through some things. Oh no, he is like full on.
Yeah, he's full on punk. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
It's specifically that one doll. We don't have to get into it. It's scary.
Eric's fear of Uncle Traveling Matt sparked my love of Funko Pops.
Did it really?
Yeah.
Was that the first one you bought?
It was. Yeah.
Wow.
I'm trying to see where it is. Oh yeah.
Wow, you're welcome.
Yeah, right
Joe.
here. I went to a comic book shop and I'm like, this is hilarious.
You know why that one's okay? Because the eyes are all black. They're not horrifying like that fucking 80s doll.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
But yeah, that was the first one I bought because I thought it was funny how terrified you are. All right, next up from Roald. Why are there so many horror documentaries? Why no rom-com docs?
Because there's no rom-com fans. There's nobody running rom-com fan sites, dude.
No, I'm sure there's a rom-com doc.
I mean, I feel like rom-coms just get their own fan fiction, so they don't need documentaries.
Yeah. I've got to mention, there's got to be a doc out there somewhere, right?
Yeah, that's my expectation.
Romantic Comedy, the official trailer. Although I don't know if that's a documentary or not.
All right, next up, Chris Alionte. Is there a story /book/TV show that terrified you as a kid that you would like to see made or remade into a film today? Blumhouse presents The Monster at the End of the book. Or the monster at the end of this book.
My daughter loves that.
That's a Sesame Street
Grover,
book, isn't it?
Yeah.
I
always say there's nothing I want to see get remade. It's more just like different levels of acceptance when it happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to see
Josh
new things.
Lee Oh, sorry, you got more?
No.
All right. Josh Lee _P. Who has been going around sneaking into my house and making all of my clothes smaller during the pandemic? Is this some kind of gremlin shenanigans?
Yeah, bro.
I assume.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're all there.
I feel you, bro.
You good? You good?
Too. In the before times, did any of you frequent haunted house attractions this time of year? Would you ever consider going to Extreme Haunt?
No. In fact, I mentioned
can't
it, but I watched that documentary called, I think it's called Haunt, I don't know what it is, on Shudder, and I think that dude should be arrested.
Is that the one where you have to like sign the waiver,
McCavey
or
Manor
they can like pick
or
you up
whatever?
whenever?
Yeah. He's a literal sex
I don't
predator.
need to be touched, and I
No.
don't need to sign a waiver.
We should give a shout out though to patron and longtime fan Jamie, who's like apparently a haunted house junkie, and if she like is just unimpressed by all of it, like nothing scares her, and she needs her adrenaline fix.
We used to go to a lot before kids. Yeah, you know.
I mean, I like going to like abandoned houses, and they were like we did that a lot as teenagers, but we lived too far away from like actual like, you know, put up haunted houses.
We used to go a lot back in New York, but we haven't been, I think, since we moved. Wah, wah. Fuji Billy, hey, Ask BGH, happy Halloween. So trick or treat. Either treat, share your favorite BGH crew memory, or trick, throw some shade at one of your co-hosts.
Oh, Lord.
I do
But
both.
what if that is my favorite memory?
I do both of those things every week, right? And they're both Cece's favorite memory.
It's true. Yeah, I think that's high on everybody's list, right? Anybody got something they want to share? I feel like it's getting late, and this is a lot to ask of us.
Got to get that question in first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Think it over. Our buddy at Metal Prof, when can I expect you to retract your appalling attack on Cincinnati chili?
Oh, never. This caused a little bit of Twitter kerfluffle, and I'm okay with it because look at that stuff. No.
I've never had it and would be very interested to try it. So.
I mean,
it looks like dog food.
know.
It's not food. Like it's just
It's
no.
the cinnamon that gets me.
Ew, I forgot there was. I can't do it. Now.
You know what
I
it
like
is?
cinnamon, but not on.
It's the kind of shit you eat when you are snowed in and can't go to the grocery store, and so you just take a can and like make spaghetti. Like that's what it is. It's not food.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what I said about it on the other episode. I may have trashed it, but I would definitely try it. I just haven't had the chance.
Somebody mail Joe a can. We have a PO box, right?
Well, no, you gotta
get it in a can.
They have a can.
Yeah.
You really think it's gonna be that different?
Get it from like the actual place,
You
right?
think
If
it's
you're gonna
gonna
try
be
it for
that
the first time.
Yeah.
Here we go. CO_W Flanagan. Yo, the Papa John's delivers this jack-o'-lantern pizza to me. Depressed, barely able to eat this while sitting on the toilet, or per usual. What is your dork's biggest Halloween disappointment? That this is still a thing, I think, is pretty high on my list.
I mean, in the Northeast, it's like whenever it snows, man. Like having a costume and then having to wear like a winter jacket over it is a huge bummer.
Yeah, I mean, last year we got a legit blizzard on Halloween, so
yeah, it sucks.
I mean,
it's going to be really chilly here. It looks like
that's a very specific Northeast kid problem. I feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're it's going to be like 45, high of 45, I think, on Saturday. So.
Does it matter? Like, is there anything that could top the disappointment of this Halloween?
I was gonna say, people in my neighborhood haven't even like decorated at all. I've seen like, excuse me, like maybe 3 pumpkins, and it's just like I'm so depressed.
Yeah,
I think it's gonna be a little rowdy in the neighborhood. Maybe not like rowdy, but I think there's gonna be a lot of kids out. Some good decoration, like
It's good.
We'll see.
Oh, white people rowdy.
Yeah, white people rowdy, obviously.
Old white people rowdy.
yeah.
Fusilitoro, what was the worst gift you ever received but had to pretend you liked for too long?
I got a good one. My mother-in-law once for Christmas gave me the fancy craft deli slices that don't come individually wrapped and a bag of cat litter.
What the fuck?
That was like the second year we were married, and I had to ask my wife when her mom left the room. I'm like, did I piss her off? What did I do?
You got cheese and cat litter?
Yes.
What?
Holy
shit.
Because yes, she knew we had cats, and she knew I liked the cheese slices the last time we were there.
Oh my god, dude.
Huh.
What a weirdly thoughtful / disturbing gift that is.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she believes in practical gifts. This is also the mother-in-law that was once a Catholic nun, so there's crossed wires in there.
Yeah.
Unreal, dude.
All right, Erie, anybody else?
I can't beat that.
No, not beating that for sure.
No, I have like a long list of like clothes that were given to me by my mother that I only wear when I see my mother, basically.
I was just gonna say those stupid when we were kids, the cheap RC cars that couldn't turn; they could only go back and to the side.
Those are the worst.
That was how you knew it was a rough Christmas for your family that year.
Erie, Arizona. When I was a wee lad back in the 80s, my elementary school used to have costume contests and classroom parties every year for Halloween. What did your elementary school do for Halloween? I mean, everyone had those, right?
I remember doing
doing the
parades.
Yeah, we had the parade.
Yeah, I think we had a parade in elementary school.
Yeah. I mean, my kids still have that, so I don't think much has changed.
We're actually doing a parade this year, but the parents have to be in their cars. So we're allowed to go to the school, but you have to stay in your car, and the kids are going to parade out of the school while you're in your car.
So it's like a convoy kind of thing?
No. Well, like the kids are at school, but like the parents all have to be in their cars, like in the parking lot, basically.
I got you, John.
Yeah. All right, next up from Cheesy Whiz. Not a question, but will you let people know if they have not mailed their ballots in by October 29th that they have to take them there in person, even if historically they were counted by postmark date versus election date? The time for mail has passed. Yeah, that's a good point. So bring it into one of those drop boxes. If you're in Texas, drive the 9 hours to wherever your fucking asshole governor let you have one.
Yeah.
I mailed mine.
Whatever you got to do.
It's not great, but
it's not.
You know, really what else do you have to do? All right, we'll jump over to the Insta tweets. We're on Instagram, Bloody Good Horror. First up, do you think Melania Trump has one huge claw toe a la Anne Hathaway in The Witches?
My God.
You know she does. Also, this movie brought me closer to the Joe feelings on Anne Hathaway in general. That accent, eesh.
I know, I hate it. I love to go to bat for Hathaway, but I just can't this time. But I think he's right.
I mean,
yes, she has a claw toe. That's the answer.
Yeah. All right, here, we'll bang out a few more because it's getting late. Any taco hot takes?
No, I just like tacos.
Tacos are good.
Yeah. Tacos are delicious. What is the best gateway horror movie for kids?
The Gate.
Something wicked this week comes.
Okay.
You want to scare the shit out of your fucking kids? Show them The Gate. because that movie fucked me
God.
up as a kid.
No, I'm sure I've told this, but that was like why. It's definitely in the first like 5 horror movies I ever saw. My mom's dad, my grandfather showed it to me, and I still remember like watching it. It was so fucked up. So,
What
it's
about
like, I think it's
Neverending
rated
Story?
PG.
I feel like that's a horror one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
The
Yeah, I
second,
don't
the
know.
second Neverending Story is pretty scary too.
We showed Mia Beetlejuice. Gremlins freaked her out. That wasn't a great choice.
I'm thinking about Gremlins for Christmas this year for the 6-year-old.
It legit. I want to say Mia was like around 6, and it terrified her. And also, it was around Christmas, so we were getting a ton of Amazon packages. So Leslie just kept telling her like, "Oh, what's that at the door? Maybe it's a gremlin."
That's messed up.
Let's see. Movies have. Wait. Has anybody watched Borat? It made me laugh.
Oh my god!
I did watch it.
Dude, it was. I mean, like it was good, but I cringed so much.
I'd have a little trouble with the cringiness of it. Like I know it's good, but it's just hard for me to watch.
It's real.
I did a lot of like pacing in and out of the room.
It's. I would say it's more aggressively cringy than the first one.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's weird because like clearly he had a hard time making it because everyone recognizes Borat as a character, which he like makes a joke in the movie. He still does a pretty good job of like there's some good stuff in there.
John,
I laughed up on
John.
The actress is amazing.
John,
whoever
she's phenomenal.
I'm trying to listen to you, but I am just fucking fascinated by your beard.
Oh.
Did you trim it like that? I know I always ask you that, but how does it grow like that? There's
No, that's
nothing
how it
on the
grows,
side.
That's where he colors with the marker.
And with the shitty, with your bad webcam and the bad lighting, it literally just looks like a grease stain on your face.
Oh my god!
Like a soot stain,
Jesus.
you know?
Did you forget to send Eric flowers this week?
No, I just
it's I don't worry about these things.
Fascinating.
Guys, don't worry. This is why when Suzanne worries about me getting a big head, I'm like,
don't worry about
it. You know.
All right. Is there a better Halloween trilogy than Evil Dead 1, 2, and Army of Darkness?
How about Halloween 1, 2, 3?
Yeah. I gotta imagine there is, right? There's tons of movies out there.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Killer Clowns from Outer Space 2 or Gremlins 3? Which one is more urgent?
Wow.
Killer Clowns 2.
What would a modern Killer Clowns movie look like? I could get into
I know.
I would go Gremlins 3. Like
I'd
I don't
say
think
Gremlins.
Only if there's no only if
I'm
there's
going
no
Gremlins.
CG, which I know was like I think he's been trying to get that to be made for years, but I think that was has always been a sticking point.
Yeah.
Is that he
I
doesn't
would
want
go
to do it?
Gremlins 3 if we got to watch another Key and Peele skit about it.
It's in the movie.
All right. Let's wrap up with this one. What horror movie is most likely to become a documentary by the end of 2020?
I think you had the perfect answer for this.
The
Joe.
Bay.
Well, Contagion, that movie. like,
Well, yeah. Joe's answer on Instagram was The Purge, which I thought was pretty good.
The Purge, yeah. I feel like that's
Yeah.
too close, dude.
Yeah.
You know.
You never know.
that's it. You know, we've got a few more, but let's cap it off there.
You sure?
Yeah, unless you wanna keep going.
No, it's fine. We can cap it. Let's do it. It's fine.
All right, I'll do. Is this spooky season as exciting for you this year?
No.
I'm struggling with my spookiness this year.
Yeah.
Although that was the first time I've gotten dressed up in like legit 15 years, so maybe yeah. I don't know.
Although for party favors at my kind of baby shower, we carved pumpkins in the driveway.
That's awesome. I love
It's
it.
pretty nice. You did a live one. That's cool.
Yeah, I was very well. It was just for my girlfriends, and it was a very spaced out, very limited invite. So we that was their party favor.
Did you start any wildfires for your gender reveal?
No.
We had a Zoom baby shower for my brother-in-law, and it was actually pretty nice. I had a good time.
Been to a few Zoom baby or like toddler birthday parties.
There you go.
Is that it?
Joe?
Yeah, no, it's not as exciting, right?
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
We lost
we're
it.
gonna
It's
take the
fine.
kids out, but they're not gonna be able to do like real trick or treating. Like
Yeah.
it's no. Our fucking president fucked everything up.
Although I do have to say, I'm really impressed with all of the ingenuity I'm seeing on Twitter, where people have made like PVC pipes
Yeah,
to
it's
like
nice.
shoot.
Dude, I said that. Yeah,
candy.
somebody asked that like last month, and I was like, dude, candy shoot. Just find a way to
Yeah.
shoot candy at kids, and you're good.
Yeah.
It's candy and guns. America loves it.
And that's it.
All right. Wait a minute. You stopped with one left.
No, I did. There's
gotcha.
others.
Okay,
but,
that's
like,
fine. All right. I just thought you were like cutting it off with one left.
Do you want to go with that? Do you
No,
wanna
I'm
talk
good.
about
I'm
that?
good. I'm good.
It's his
No,
thing.
no, no.
He edits the tweets. And
It's fine. Listen, I'm never gonna ask to keep going again. I learned my lesson tonight. All right, guys. What is next week, John?
The Craft: Legacy.
Cool.
Colon
Legacy.
What did you call it, CC, for the show?
No, I
said it was called
She
Legacy.
do it.
What did you call it, John?
I called it something else. I can't remember.
Oh man. All right. So the Craft, whatever this thing is.
The new batch.
Oh,
Actually.
yeah, it's
Oh,
the,
yeah.
the new batch.
The new batch.
Written and directed by Zoe Lister-Jones,
Mm-hmm.
who is an actress from Things and also now a filmmaker. So there you go, John. And by that time, Halloween will be over. But don't remember, John, or don't forget, we'll still be here.
Don't remember that we'll still
Don't
be
remember.
here.
that we'll still be here.
Forever in this
Will we be
digital hellscape that is Skype/Zoom/FaceTime.
Yeah.
Yeah. Will we survive past next Tuesday/Wednesday?
All right, everybody. Well, I hope you have a safe and wonderful Halloween, and we'll talk to you soon.
Go vote.
Goodbye.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.